Good morning. Now, I've told this story before, but it's one of my favourites and it's very important. So this is for all you new ones. The wars between Syria and Israel have been going on for centuries. So I'm going to go back to one of them, which was 3,000 or so years ago. The king of Syria wanted to raid the king of Israel. And he sort of thought the king of Israel would be in a certain place. So he says to his troops, we'll camp there and catch him at unawares. When they got there, the king of Israel was nowhere in sight. So he says, right, we'll change plans and we'll camp out at some other place. Now this goes on several times and the king of Israel never turns up in his usual spots. So the king of Syria gets his troops together and he says to them, now, which one of you is a spy? Which one of you listens to my plans and goes and tells the king of Israel? Own up. So his troops said, no, you've got it all wrong. The king of Israel has a prophet, Elisha, who tells him everything. Even if you whispered it in your bedroom, Elisha would know and tell the king of Israel. Right, so the king of Syria says the thing to do then is to go and get this prophet Elisha and see if we can use him for our own ends. And they realise that Elisha is living at the moment in a little city, a little town called Dothan. Now I've been to Dothan, but it was a long time ago. It's a small town, a walled town, in the middle of a huge plain. And in the distance surrounding this plain are mountains, and it's important to keep that in mind. Elisha is in the fortunate position of having a servant, so the servant gets up early one morning, decides to have a little walk along the walls, and gets the shock of his life because surrounding the town are war chariots and horses. So he runs to Elisha and he says, help, what are we going to do? We're going to die. And Elisha says to him, just a minute, don't worry. And he prays to God, Jehovah God, that he will open the eyes of his servant. And suddenly the servant can see, surrounding in those distant mountains, a vast amount of angels with fiery chariots. And if you can picture Dothan and the mountains in the distance, you'll realise how vast this heavenly army was. So Elisha says to him, there are more with us than there are with them. But he's got to deal with this situation. So Elisha goes out and he says to the captain of this army, can I help you? And the captain says, well, I'm looking for Elisha. Elisha prays that the army will be blinded, not literally, but mentally blinded. And he says to the captain, oh, no, you've come to the wrong place. I'll take you to where Elisha is. So he leads them to Samaria, which is not too far away, but, far enough. And this is where the king of Israel is. So when they get there, this army, and remember that the king of Syria has sent a huge army to collect one man, one prophet, so he realizes what he's dealing with here. This little army, big army of Syrians realizes eventually that they've been caught by the king of Israel. So the king of Israel says to Elisha, will I kill them? And Elisha says, no, you can't do that. These are prisoners of wars. Give them bread and water and send them home. Now the king of Israel says, oh no, we can do better than that. And he gets out the roast lamb and the vegetables and the cakes and maybe not the trifles, but everything, and gives them a grand feast. This is one of the lighter sides of the Bible, and I always think it's quite amusing. And it says that the king of Israel prepared a great feast for them, and when they had eaten and drunk, he sent them away, and they went to their master. And the little comment says, and the Syrians did not come again on raids into the land of Israel. I'm certain they didn't. They didn't want to go through that again. The most important thing here to remember is to open our eyes, open our mental eyes, and see in the mountains around us the armies of Jehovah, the angels and their chariots, and we are well protected. And when the end of the world comes, we will rely on that protection to get us through. I hope you'll be able to read this account for yourself. The stories of Elijah and Elisha are wonderful, and we need them to get us through the difficult times that we're going through at the moment. God bless you all.